that some counties, Mr. Speaker, out of victimization and out of strike, most of the employees that work with health department have been victimized. Others have been sacked. I'm aware of Meru County government where the medics have not been allowed to access their workplaces. There are many counties that the strike is still ongoing. There are many people who are still suffering, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope the Health Committee, I've seen quite a number of members, Senator Ledama Olekina, who is a member of Health Committee, will move and address the crisis that we are facing among the county health departments across the country. And I hope this should be a priority to the committee. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of formula, I have seen the baseline that the Ministry of Treasury, now that we are going to budget, that it is 326 billion. Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate. When you form a committee of special committee, and I was a privilege to be a member, we did agree that 370 billion was the baseline. And Mr. Speaker, even the Commission of Revenue Allocation, which is constitutional obligation, did provide direction that 370 billion should be the baseline, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with our colleagues that we are not saying mukutano itakwisha, but what we are saying, Mr. Speaker, is that we must agree on 370 billion. Our counties need a lot of resources. There are so many challenges. Our counties, although we are struggling with wage bill, Mr. Speaker, you saw the other day Nandi was struggling with 58%. I think Nairobi City County is also approaching at 57%. And it is very sad sort of affairs, Mr. Speaker. So for devolution to work, Mr. Speaker, we must endeavor to work with Treasury. We need another round of consultation. And I hope this time around, as Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the minority whip, we don't need to fight. We need to build a consultation. We need to be optimistic. We have been told in some document called BBI that there is a chance of getting to the 5%. Mr. Speaker, we need to work to ensure that 15% is achieved. If we cannot even honor a presidential directive of 370 billion that we had agreed that county should get 370 billion, and Senator Petronila Were was the front runners then, with our majority whip, who is facing a lot of problems in his seat, we had agreed that let us be ambitious, Mr. Speaker. We were looking forward to 370 billion. So I think, Mr. Speaker, even as we tell Kenyans 35%, for example, is achievable through some document called BBI, we should be able to develop 15% and allow counties to function, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally, I want to call upon your office that you need to do orientation, especially for the committee chairs and their vice chairs, so that when we seek statements, we seek petitions, you want to give directions, they are always in the house to take those directions. And I can see, I'm happy, my chair of National Cohesion and Integration, aka SCOOP, she's normally in the house, and my chair, my able chair, Professor Sam Ongeri, who is my able chair of County Public and Investment Committee, will be able to, we want chairs to be in the house, so that some of these issues, when you need direction, when you give interventions, they are able to rise up to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, we hope this year, heading to the general election, I want to appeal to my colleagues, let us do politics of decorum, let us be peaceful, let us allow. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, there is a saying that says, I might not like what you say, but I will defend the right to say it. So let us allow divergent views, but let us be respectful. Let us be peaceful. We don't want to see what we saw in Kisii. We don't want to see what we saw in Githurai or Bama or anywhere in the country, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to see what is happening in Machakos, which is not a good indicators. We want to be peaceful. Let us respect each other. And I want to encourage my colleagues, led by Senator Orengo, Senator Kwamboka, that even as you sell BBI, please don't force us. Just talk to us nicely. You know, just talk to us nicely and make sure Kenyans understand. Give them copies. Let them understand what Senator, is this document. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Remain relevant. Senator Professor Ongeri, BBI will come.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, let me congratulate all the senators for coming back in one piece in this area of pandemic. We just want to thank God that we're back in one piece. Secondly, I consider the Business Committee to be one of the premier committees of this House, and therefore I have no difficulties whatsoever of the names that have been proposed. They are men and women who will stand up to the integrity of this House, who will be able to defend the interests of this House to the fullest. And therefore, I will not even hesitate to recommend them to be in that committee. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a proviso, and I have seen several meanings floating on the floor here. Our responsibility as senators is to be able to keep the cohesiveness of this nation together. The sensitivity of our positions notwithstanding, we need to be able to promote the togetherness, the cohesiveness, and the application of the talents that we have to serve every cadre of the person. Sadly, this afternoon, I've had people categorizing the society of Kenya into various groups of people. Please remember that when you are elected, or when I was elected as a senator for Kisii County, I was elected for all classes of people. I was not elected for a particular class of people. I was elected for all the people who reside in that county. And therefore, my responsibility is to discharge my work, my representation to all these categories of people. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, advisedly. I've seen of late that this country is trooping towards a class classification, and that's a very dangerous tool. And I want to warn in time that let's desist from that level of thinking. My interest would be that this business committee, in fast-tracking the agenda of the House, will be able to look at the various categories of the bills of the agenda before the House, and then be able to categorize them in the area of socio-economic interests of this nation, in the area of children and women and the vulnerable groups, in the area of the societal agencies that we need to attend to, so that we can all together feel that we have been able to address the matters that affect this nation. And obviously, one of our pivotal roles is one of legislation. There are a lot of legislation pending before us, and I believe that this Business House Committee will have the ability and the capacity to generate work for this House so that we are able to sit down fruitfully and be able to prosecute the matters before this House through our committees and through the normal plenary sessions that we hold here. So we prosecute the matter to finality and be able to deliver to the Kenyan people the product that they need. Now, I heard something near about people making jokes about the BBI. I mean, one of the things that you are complaining about, that the 15% which is already in the Constitution is not even delivering the kind of money we are there. What we are saying now is that let it be in the Constitution, and let them somebody flout that Constitution. Let's follow the rule of law.
Mr. Speaker, our agenda between now and 2022 is almost cut out for us. But this is a period when we must leave a legacy as a House. This is a year when we must complete what we have started and complete it well. And I want to urge my colleagues that it is also a time when we must exercise patience with one another. We must exercise tolerance. We must exercise a lot of decorum in the House, because it is very, very important that we don't just wind up our term next year with nothing that will be remembered for. I think this is the period when this second Senate will be remembered for more things. It's my prayer that COVID disappears so that we go back to our county visits, because, Mr. Speaker, that was a creation of this Senate, and it had a lot of impact, not only amongst us, but on the grounds where we have gone to. The counties we have visited have had lasting memories. I know what happened in Uasin Gishu. We have had lasting memories, and we have I've been able to personally follow up some of the things that were raised when this Senate was in Uasin Gishu to the benefit of the people of Uasin Gishu. Never forget the issue of the Health Committee discussing the matter of the level 5, the absence of level 5 hospital in Uasin Gishu. We have followed it, and today we are very proud that we are about to complete that. Those were advices that were done on the ground because Senate committees dispersed to various corners of the county, and they were able to point out some of the things that we need to be doing as a county. So it is my prayer that we are able to. My plea, Mr. Speaker, to this committee that I strongly support, because this was the same House Business Committee that came up with these agendas, is that if it will be possible, as COVID disappears, let's even go twice a year to counties. It is possible because we are going to use facilities that are on the ground. I know we left out Busia narrowly, the place of the most senior senator we have here. We were supposed to be going to Busia, and there was very high competition between counties to host. So it will be possible for us to move around. So my encouragement is that this House business will find it within their preferences to give us 2 or so visits outside this Senate. That way, Mr. Speaker, we'll get to know the country. Some people are talking of Northern Kenya, and they've never stepped in Northern Kenya. It is important that we have a session in parts of Northern Kenya, whether we are going to Garissa, Mandera, or Marsabit. It is very, very important. When I was in the East African community, I had a visit of Marsabit and Mandera for the first time, and it changed the way I think about my country forever. And that is what really made me love this country, because we have variety, but we must also learn to embrace one another and to know the challenges that each corner of the country has. So I support this list for continuity purposes and urge them to really look at what our in-tray has, because we have a full in-tray which we must deal with and deal with in a timely manner. I also want to encourage the chairs of committees, Mr. Speaker, to really fast-track the agendas that are before them. There are many who still have reports that are pending. Some have petitions that have not been completed. Really want to urge them that this is our last stretch and we must leave a mark. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate the lawyers in the House for the great win that we had last week. They did it pro bono. We are told we didn't even pay for their tea. Mr. Speaker, I hope you will find it in your kind heart, a way of giving them tea. I know Senator Mutula had put a statement that I don't understand Kiswahili very well, but he said an empty something cannot be an empty. Mr. Speaker, they understand it because they all read that. So find it in your kind heart, find space to enable these great lawyers that have really saved us over 90, I hear it was over 90 million, to really enjoy your cup of tea. If it's not ours, it is your cup of tea. Give them a cup of tea and make them feel that this House has been grateful. But on behalf of the House, I want to really thank them for a job well done. Thank you, and God bless you.
Senator Wako.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this. First, I'll just tell on the motion itself. It does appear to me, Mr. Speaker, sir, that when we are reviewing the rules, the orders, we should do some slight amendment here. On the list, we have 7 members to be approved by this House. And those 7, to me, are able, and I endorse them completely. But when the rule says 9 other senators, the list should actually have been 9. But I'm told that there are 7 because you have taken into account sub-order 4, which says that in nominating senators to the Senate Business Committee, each parliamentary party shall include a whip into the membership. A whip is part of the leadership of the House. So to me, the whip should have been there in their own right as whips, and they should have been mentioned at the very beginning along with the Speaker, majority, minority leader, and so on. Because a whip cannot really say that he's speaking on behalf of the members, to me. So they're actually reducing the slot for ordinary members like us, who could be there and you can have an input and so on. A person who whips you cannot thereafter represent you.
I tell you.
It's a contradiction in term. Really a contradiction in term. So maybe when you're looking at these regulations, that's one area where I think there ought to be some slight amendment so that we ordinary folk in this House can have an opportunity to sit on the House Business Committee. Now, having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say about the business of the House. There's been a strong plea from Linturi and others about legislation which affects poor people. And I agree that legislation should also be prioritized. Mr. Speaker, sir, I see a lot of artificial cleavage in the society between hustlers and other people. To me, it is absolutely artificial, propagated to promote selfish ambitions of politicians. If you look in the BBI report, and I'm sorry I don't have it, we actually, if you take the hustler to be one of the hardcore poor people, mostly young, who are struggling to make a living, to me, that's a hustler. If you take that to be, the BBI actually addressed that, not only in the Constitution, but also in legislation. And there are a number of legislations we drafted just to deal with that issue, to deal with the Article 43, which provides for economic and social rights for those type of people. Very good. To deal with the youth, Article 55, to deal with PWD, Article 54, to deal with Article 56, minorities and marginalized groups. Very detailed legislation is there in the BBI. So my appeal to you, on both sides, is that when that legislation comes, give it priority, because it's still a legislation which both sides will be saying we want to deal with the issue of the hardcore poverty. We should not make it appear as if it's only one group which is concerned about the hardcore poverty, and the other group is not concerned. The other group is just concerned with some positions up there. If you read our BBI report, you will see that we spend far much more time and effort and calling for experts on how to deal with these hardcore poverty people. So my appeal to you, like my former chairman of legal committee has said, that when those bills come, I will not want to see the type of artificial, to me it's artificial, the debates here on that issue, oh, you are so and so, you are doing what. Just look at the bill on its own merits, make a well-reasoned out arguments, and we vote in a very sober way. It's coming. In fact, I was very pleased the other day when I think the other side did recognize that in this constitutional bill, we have taken care of, under Article 11, economy and shared property. I think they did recognize that the amendments that the BBI recommended on that particular issue can provide the anchor in which we can have a legislation, not just legislation, but we can have also administrative policies and so on, which deal with this issue of poverty. And therefore, if you approach it together, I think we shall get very far in addressing the problem. The Senate is supposed to provide exemplary example. Is supposed to provide, actually, even the political culture of tolerance, reasoned out arguments, and so on. And when these bills come, I would like the Senate coming out very clearly as one which has provided that atmosphere, that political climate, everything has come from this Senate, which consists of very, very able people as I look around. Even the young ones have become leaders. When you put Senate to a young person here, a Senate, a young man, he has become, by virtue of being here, has become a great leader in their own right. So I'm very, very proud that the old people, that some of this was this. I become very satisfied knowing that when I go, the young ones are there and they can ably step in my shoes and continue to lead this country in a proper direction, away from what we are now having in the society. So that's my appeal. Legislation, if we prioritize BBI, would also be actually addressing the problems of hardcore poverty in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Hargura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to join you in welcoming the members back from the long recess, and also like to support the motion and approval of senators to serve in the Senate Business Committee. And Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of work to do. You know very well we had gone to court, and courts have agreed with us that the legislations which did not go through Senate need to be recalled. I also like to thank the lawyers in the House, led by Senior Counsel James Orengo, for the work they have done. And now it's on us now to put in our effort in terms of making sure that we pass those legislations, the 20+ legislations. And this is now also an interesting time because this session might be filled with a lot of politics. We have BBI, we have the 2022 politics shaping up, which by virtue of being politicians, most of us might be involved in that. So this House Business Committee needs to plan the business of the House in such a way that we are able to deliver still on our mandates, especially the legislative ones, taking into account that the members might be attracted towards the politics of BBI and also the 2022 politics which are shaping up. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to urge the members to focus very well, and before we get into those political side issues, they make sure that we have our legislative agenda taken care of so that we deliver, especially on the bills which were recalled because of our own action. Let's make sure that we prove that we are not doing that just to show that we need to participate in legislative process, but we actually participate and improve the qualities of all those bills which are recalled. Thank you.
Tamasinzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to join you into welcoming my colleagues back to this session. Mr. Speaker, I do also support or stand here to support the list that has been proposed to serve in the SPC, and I know that they are up to the mandate and they will deliver because we have seen before the names that have been presented work very well, despite the fact that we have been having a lot of work to be done, but they have done well, and I know the names that have been proposed this time around again, they are going to do well. Mr. Speaker, it is true that through coordination, communication, cooperation, and fast tracking of the bills in this House will actually be the key mandate for us to work. And the cooperation that will be between you and the SPC, together with the liaison group, will help us achieve the goals that we are intending to achieve as a House. Mr. Speaker, bills are key not only to this House, but to Kenya as a whole. And if we fast track the bills that are pending, especially when it comes to liaison committee, where the chairs of different committees take up their mandate and work closely with the members of various committees, then we are very sure of achieving as a Senate, and not just for the sake of coming here and wasting a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, last session, we lost one of our own, Senator Kabaka. It was very hard. But we know that we are not going to waste a lot of time going around politicking, but we are going to look around and work along the lines that will help us achieve what is in this House, other than just going around and politicking, especially where most of us are indulging into even parties that are not even known, and wasting a lot of time other than working towards achieving what this Senate is. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to cooperate with you. It is important for us to work with SPC. It is important for us to work with liaison and other teams or other committees that are in this House, so that we can achieve, and Kenya will look at us as a house of achievement and a house of respect. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, when we were doing induction, and when I was new in this House, there was a presentation that was done with our Apple clerk on analysis of bills that were pending, other business of the House that were pending. And I was very keen to look at it. We need to have, at least we up our game and make sure that we have achieved that the other House did achieve, and we do more and fast track to achieve what is for us for this particular session. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues and you, Mr. Speaker, in welcoming my colleague senators back from the long recess. And of course, Mr. Speaker, we must really thank God that we are back alive because of the effects and the loss of life that has been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Speaker, while on my feet, I also want to take this opportunity to pass my message of condolences to the family of Mzee Nyachai. I say pole to the widow, mother, Mwango, and Grace, and also to Charles and the entire family for the loss of their dear father, Mzee Nyachai. I hope, Mr. Speaker, that we'll get an opportunity to pay tribute to Mzee Nyachai for the role that he played as a leader in our great country called Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I also want to join my colleague, Senator Orengo, in first really congratulating the judiciary, because last week, Mr. Speaker, we appeared before the Court of Appeal, where the National Assembly was seeking to stay the order that was issued by the High Court. But commendably, and I think guided by the law and nothing else, the Court of Appeal refused to grant stay to the National Assembly. The effect of that, Mr. Speaker, is that this House continues to enjoy the fruits of that judgment that was obtained from the High Court. And we must really thank our colleagues, Senator Mutula, Senator Orengo, who joined us all the way from Dubai. Technology has brought so many benefits, Mr. Speaker. But also, Mr. Speaker, there is another cadre of people we keep on forgetting, our members of staff from the legal department, who do a lot of work behind the scenes. Mr. Speaker, this is the team that prepares the submissions. These are the team that burns midnight oil to ensure that the papers that are needed to be filed in court are filed timeously. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, our clerk, when the time comes, a proposal has been made that some of us should be considered to get some state commendation titles. I hope, Mr. Speaker, that the Parliamentary Service Commission, through our 2 commissioners and through the clerk, will also treat those members of staff with fairness when issues of promotion arise. So, Speaker, we should not leave them to be at the mercy of other members of the Commission from the National Assembly who may really hit back on them because they really do a lot of effort in ensuring that they support the team of senior counsels in prosecuting these matters in court. Mr. Speaker, I fully support the members who have been proposed to serve in the House Business Committee. Most of them are colleagues we have worked with. They are people we know are very dedicated. They are first among equal, and they served us very well last time. And I hope they will continue with that tradition. And I hope they will give priority, Mr. Speaker, to some of the bills that Parliament as an institution has really lagged behind. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that we have had the 2010 Constitution with us for 8 years now, and we knew that in that Constitution we enacted chapters that necessitates any amendment to the Constitution to be done through the referendum, but we have never enacted the referendum law. I think, Mr. Speaker, to be fair to ourselves, that is a big indictment to us. Mr. Speaker, you saw what happened in the county of Siaya. Because there is no law that guides how we should conduct issues of referendum, though the Constitution gives them 90 days, that should accord them an opportunity to do public participation, to involve the people of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, that bill was enacted in a record 1 day. And I think it's us who should stand indicted, because if we had enacted the referendum law, then the county assemblies would have had a legislation that guides them. I really hope that HBC will give this piece of legislation priority so that we are able to guide our 47 counties. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we will be opening this very good idea of BBI into unnecessary litigation that could have been avoided. And while on this, Mr. Speaker, you know, last week I was among mourners who attended the funeral of the father of the deputy governor of Kisii. And Mr. Speaker, unless we do some civic education and tell the people who belong to the Hustler Nation what hustlers are meant to do and what they should not do, Mr. Speaker, you find yourself in a situation where people who attend forums are intolerant. They don't want to hear an alternative view. Because, Mr. Speaker, while we were in Kisii, a member of parliament just rose up to make a proposal that the issue of presidency should be rotational, and that some regions should also get opportunities for presidency. But we want ourselves. Within no second, Mr. Speaker, I was shocked to see a member of parliament dressed in a red tie, a white shirt, a black suit, you know, jumping to a table which was as high as where you are sitting, Mr. Speaker, simply because he believes that Hustler Nation should not be tolerant to hear an alternative view. Mr. Speaker, that is a narrative that those who are leading the Hustler Nation really should take seriously. When you go to forums, Mr. Speaker, accept it that there are people who will be drumming up support for other presidential candidates. If you go to a funeral, and I hope when they come to Muzenya Chai, let them talk to the Omo Gusii Nation humbly. We don't want fights in Gusii. We don't want war in Kisii, Mr. Speaker. We will give them an opportunity to sell their ideas. If people also have ideas to, you know, they have candidates they want to market, we should give them an opportunity to share those views with the people without inviting fights. Mr. Speaker, that was very shameful, and we were very tolerant because as Kisiis we don't like fights, but we really want to urge people from the Hustler Nation not to sell that narrative that they are very intolerant to any other candidate seeking presidency other than one that leads the Hustler Nation. Mr. Speaker, that's not the way to lead a country towards an election. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I really hope that the House business will also be able to track some of the very important issues that were raised before this House over which we have not answers. Issues of coffee, the coffee fund, Mr. Speaker. Last time, Senator Wetangula, in a very passionate appeal on the floor of this House, raised the unfairness in disbursements of the coffee fund. And I remember there was a promise that was made by the chair of the Committee of Agriculture that Western Kenya regions, including my own county of Nyamira, will get consideration during this financial year on disbursements of that coffee fund. So, Speaker, I want to really tell the incoming members of HBC that these counties are waiting, including my own county of Nyamira, and that we want to really see fairness to all the coffee farmers in this country. And the Speaker, with those many remarks, I support the membership and wish them a very successful tenure as they serve this honorable House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Milgo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also thank the senators that have been proposed to serve in the House Business Committee and really say I've seen the names and they are equal to the task. I know it has been said that there is a lot, the tray is full. However, I want to really encourage them that with a lot of hard work, they'll be able to overcome, or in this case, accomplish the work that is before them. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me also thank the legal counsel for the success that they were able to stamp the authority to all and sundry that the Senate is the upper house. And at the same time, the legal counsel in this house were able to ensure that the Senate did not lose even 1 shilling. Congratulations, and I want to say you deserve a pat on your backs. Mr. Speaker, sir, while we want this, I know there is a lot of backlog right now in terms of bills, and in this case, I wish to appeal to the House Business Committee that at the course of ordering the work that is going to be done in this House, let them really exercise a lot of fairness because of the fact that some of the bills that were withdrawn were maiden bills for some of the people in this House, and it may end up that the same bills may lapse, and it would look like some people in this House have not even produced any bill at all. Mr. Speaker, sir, last year was a wonderful year, despite the fact that we almost had a challenge in terms of revenue sharing bill. However, it is my hope that this year I will not spend a lot of time when it comes to that. In addition to that, we know this year is a year that is approaching. We are approaching electioneering year. There is PPI, there is politicking in terms of 2022 elections, but I want to encourage my colleagues to actually exercise a priority so that we appreciate that this is a multi-party country, and at the same time, let us agree to disagree. Let us accept to listen to various issues, and in this case, from there we can see others so that we do not come to fights like we saw in Kisii. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, I want to say during the holidays, the long recess, I lost my mom, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the senators who actually prayed to my family.
Mr. Speaker, that there's a lot of pending business in this House in terms of bills, petitions, motions that are still pending, and I would like to urge the House, the new Senate Business Committee to fast in future. Because, Mr. Speaker, and this has been alluded to by Senator Murkomen, that we need to have also some people serving here, because as we know, we are moving towards elections, Mr. Speaker, and we do not know which members will be firstly re-elected back to this Senate. Number two, other people might be going for different seats, like governors, like the presidency. So assuming that only these members who are, or all these members who have been serving in the last 4 sessions do not find their way back into this House, what will happen? We'll have very new members who will be tinkering, understanding House business, and therefore I would urge, Mr. Speaker, that if it is possible along the way, along this year, if you can have new people, maybe have a mix of the people who are here and some new people, so that if we have the next parliament, we have that institutional memory in place. Otherwise, I support the whole list as it is, and I wish you the best of luck as we steer this house in this year 2021. I thank you.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka nijiunge nawe na kukushukuru sana na kuweza pia kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu zaidi ya kwamba tumeweza kurudi katika likizo iliyokuwa ya Krismasi na mwaka mpya, na vile vile kwamba kulikuwa na mambo mengi yaliyotendeka ambayo pengine ni ya hatari. Kuna mazishi na wengine kama sisi ambao pengine Mwenyezi Mungu ametupatia ile baraka na huruma yake ya kuweza kuona mwaka huu tukiwa na afya njema. Nataka kushukuru sana pia vile vile kwa makaribisho yako kwamba tumerudi na wote tukionekana kwamba tuko katika buheri ya afya. Bwana Spika, pia nataka kuunga mkono ile listi ambayo imepeanwa ya maseneta ambao watahusikana katika ile kamati ya bunge la Senate ya kuweza kuendesha ratiba. Nafikiria hao maseneta wote ni watu ambao wamefaulu katika nyadhifa zao, na vile vile mpaka sasa tuko katika mwaka wa 3 ama wa 4, wao wameweza kuthibitisha umahari wao. Bwana Spika, jambo la muhimu ni kwamba lazima tuzingatie mambo ya wananchi, na vile vile ni kwamba wananchi wa Kenya wana imani sana na bunge la Senate, kulingana na ile mijadala ambayo imeweza kuletwa mbele ya Senate na kujadiliwa kwa kima cha heshima, na vile vile kuona ya kwamba maseneta ni watu ambao wanajiweka ama wanajiheshimu. Sisi sio watu ambao tunaweza kupigana mandondi mbele ya wananchi ama mbele ya tafrija ya watu wengi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Tumejiwekea heshima na natumaini itaendelea hivyo hivyo. Nataka niwapatie pia kongole maseneta kwa kuweza kuweka kielelezo cha kwamba kama mnataka bunge liheshimiwe, basi nyinyi muwe kama sisi maseneta hapa. Bwana Spika, kwanza nataka tutambue uwepo wa maseneta ambao ni wale tunaita maseneta wa kongwe, ambao wameweka takriban heshima yao katika utendakazi. Na tukiangalia sisi katika haya mabunge mawili tunapata ya kwamba katika bunge la Senate ndio kuna maseneta ambao wamebobea. Hapa tukiwa hapa ndani tuko na Senator Amos wako Sweetsila, ambaye yeye hata huna haja ya kuongea, anaweza kuchambua sheria vile inavyotakana. Vile vile tukiwa na kama Samo Kongo, na pia ndugu yetu James Orengo, Murkomen pande hii tukiwa Mutula Kilonzo Junior, akiiga mfano babake mzee Kalonzo Senior. Kwa hiyo bunge la Senate ni bunge ambalo liko na takriban ya watu kadha ambao wako na uwezo wa kufanya shughuli hii bila kujali malipo. Bwana Spika, utaona ya kwamba katika utendakazi wa mawakili ulimwengu mzima wanavaa gown nyeusi, sio ile ya mtunga, ile ya green, lakini wanavaa koti lile leusi, na hapa utaona kuna kitu kinatembea kwa mgongo. Hicho ni kama kipochi. Zamani mawakili walikuwa hawawezi kuitisha pesa, lakini wakifanya kazi, wao wamefanya kazi kusaidia jamii. Hapa hawa mawakili wetu walijitolea kusaidia bunge la Senate ili kuweza kueleka kielelezo cha wale wataokuja nyuma zetu kama maseneta. Kwa hiyo kongole sana ndugu yangu Samo Kongo Omogendi na Mutula Kilonzo Jr. na pia vile vile James Orengo na wengineo walioweza kushirikiana na baadhi ya hawa mawakili kuweza kupigana huko ndani ya koti, na hatimaye tukaweza kushinda zile sheria ambazo zilipitishwa bila ruksa ama bila majadiliano, hususan wewe na wale wanaohusikana na katika hizo bills, na ziliweza kupelekwa kwa rais na zikatiwa kidole kinyume cha sheria. Hawa walifanya juhudi, na hivi sasa inabainika wazi kabisa ya kwamba hakuna chochote kitapitishwa ndani ya bunge la National Assembly ambacho kinahusikana na mambo ya ugatuzi ama chochote vile bila kupitia hapa. Hiyo ni heko kubwa sana. Bwana Spika, siko hapa kusema ya kwamba pengine walipwe, hapana. Lakini kuna ile tunaita imani pia ni kutiana moyo. Jambo kama hili ni kwamba ile ambayo tunafikiria ama tutaona, ama wewe mwenyewe ukiketi katika ile hali yako ukiona ikiwa wanafaa, wao hawatakuuliza kile kifuko kiko hapa nyuma ya zile koti, wewe nenda ukaweke vile unavyofikiria, alafu wao wataenda zao na watakupatia shukrani. Bwana Spika, la mwisho ni kwamba zile mijadala ambayo tunaileta katika bunge lazima tuhakikishe ya kwamba wananchi tumewapatia kipaumbele katika mijadala yetu. Tusifanye vitu ambavyo vitaweza kuleta mtafaruku. Kama sasa kuna watu ambao ukiwauliza ni kwa nini wewe unapinga BBI, yeye hajaisoma, hajui kumeandikwa nini, lakini yeye atakwambia tayari mimi siitaki. Alafu katika hali ya mtafaruku, pengine watu wanaweza kuanza kupigana na maisha kupotea na kama pengine kujeruhiwa. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba tuwe wa kwanza kama kielelezo. BBI si kitu kipya kwetu sisi. Bwana Spika, tulikuwa na BBI wakati ule mwingine, na pia vile vile iliweza kupita na tukapata katiba mpya mwaka 2010. Sasa imeka mwaka 2021. Kama hiyo imetokea tena baada ya miaka 11, mambo mengi sana yamegeuka. Yanahitaji kugeuzwa na kuona kwamba nchi hii kutakuwa na imani, kutakuwa na upendo, kutakuwa na watu wakiishi na furaha baada ya kwamba wamepiga kura. Kusitokee jambo baya ambalo litafanya mimi nianze kuchukia huyu kwa sababu ni kabila Mkalenjin, huyu ni Mkikuyu, huyu ni Mkamba, huyu namna hiyo. Sote tuwe kama Wakenya. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba wale wasiofahamu lazima wapate nafasi ya kuuliza ili wapate kuelezwa. Mambo yaliyotokea mahali kama Githurai ama Bama ama kwingineko katika taifa la Kenya, aibu kubwa katika mazishi, watu wanazusha, wanaanza kutandikana makonde. Hiyo haifai. Na aibu ndogo ndogo kama hizi sisi tukao waheshimiwa ni lazima tujiheshimu kwanza. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi nataka kumalizia nikisema kwamba katika wale waliochaguliwa katika harakati zote za bunge ambazo tutazifanya, hao ni wa maseneta ambao ni wakakamavu, na mimi ningeendelea kujiunga nao ya kwamba ni sawa kabisa. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Pareno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this motion and also to join you to wish my colleagues a happy new year. You know, Mr. Speaker, we ended on a sad note last year when we lost our very own, the late Senator Kabaka. So we must be grateful to God that we are all in one piece after that, and he has been gracious enough to give us good health as we begin the year. Mr. Speaker, we know the members that are listed here as the House Business Committee. We know the capabilities of each of them because we've been here long enough to know them. Mr. Speaker, it was funny to hear Senator Murkomen is not here, saying that he's happy that he has a few who he can rely on to checkmate on behalf of the Hustler Nation. But I choose to look at the members not as hustlers, not as whatever. I choose to look at them as members of their own right in this Senate, members who can represent all of us and the business that we have, members who can take forth the mandate of the Senate on behalf of the counties and not on behalf of whether hustler or no hustler. In any event, our country is made up of all of us, and we must be proud of who we are. So, Mr. Speaker, I am sure that they'll take up their job well. They did very well in the last session, and most of them, looking at Senator Dulo, is one of the celebrated ladies in this Senate, being in the leadership, and having come here as an elected senator. So you can imagine how much input she has. I sit with her. I sit with her in the Security Committee, very committed member. The same to Senator Sakaja, who was our chair in the Security Committee. The same to the rest of the members, Senator Kwahom Boka, who is our whip. So this is a good team. Senator Charles Kibiru has been a chair of a committee. Cleophas Malala himself is also in leadership. Senator Ledama. So we don't really doubt their capability. So we only wish them well, let them continue with their job. If they had done so badly, Mr. Speaker, then we'd be shouting here saying that they should not continue. But we have no issue with how they were able to run the business last time. I am sure you have a good team here that will hold your hand as you steer forward for the Senate to this session. And we are happy that we are back and they are able to take us through. So, Mr. Speaker, I congratulate them that they are back and they are back in their committees. You remember last time we had a lot of issues even reconstituting the House business. Not the House business, but the CPIC. We even took time to also reconstitute the Delegated Legislation Committee because both sides were haggling as to who should be in what committee. So the fact that we are starting on a high note with this team, with nobody saying that none of them should sit, is a fresh start for all of us for this year. So, Mr. Speaker, I support and I thank you.
Senator Nyamunga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I just want to join my colleagues in thanking God for allowing us to be back. All of us, we did not hear anything about happening to any one of us. So we thank God for that. And secondly, I just want to support the motion on the membership of the committee that is being given a new mandate to continue with the work that they've been doing as the House Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, I do not have a problem with the list, and all the members are equal to the task. The only thing that I would like to urge most of the members that have been given this opportunity is that we should work and serve with a lot of dedication. I don't doubt it. They've been doing it. And also to look at the work that is before the Senate. The Senate has done a lot of work, and I think the country at large has been looking up to the Senate for legislation and the type of debate that has been carried out in this House. So I would really like to urge them to look at the pending bills, the pending motions, and even the bills. Personally, I have a bill. To me, it's a very important bill that we should not come again to the end of this year without looking at it, because it is one bill that once it is passed, it should go a long way to help the county governments in finding ways of raising their own resources, apart from relying on the national government, because the national government, as we all know, is overburdened. And looking at our debt situation growing by the day, we must look elsewhere. Even as a family, you cannot look at employment, income from employment alone. you must look at, outside the box and find ways of survival. And it's not only that bill that is important. I believe there are so many other bills pending which are very important and crucial to this House, and petitions, motions, and even statements. There are some which are still pending. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to thank you very much because in my view and from where I sit, you've done very well, very, very well. And it's not just a matter of talking or because you are here, Mr. Speaker. It cuts across, and everybody tells us, even from the other House, that they wish they were here because of our Speaker. So that gives us a lot of joy to know that, that you are being appreciated. And our staff. In fact, when I joined this House, I was so encouraged, because if you compare this House and the National Assembly, which had had an opportunity to serve there in the last Parliament, the difference is so big. There's a lot of dedication from our staff. I don't know whether it is because we are few, but it's not about that. They do a lot of work, from the clerk to all the staff at the committee level. We've really had no issues. If any member has a problem, it's really ourselves to blame, but our staff are always at hand to support us. So we must encourage them and to let them know that we know and we appreciate the work that they do. The staff, all of us, even the security system, all of us in this House, I think we are doing a good job. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, you know, Constitution is made by the people for the people. And sometimes we've not behaved very well, even in this House. We cannot point fingers out there and we leave ourselves. Even in this House, sometimes we forget our responsibility and go off. In sometimes the words that we use, the behavior at times, it's not been very, very cultured. We've not been so cultured. But about BBI, I know it is coming. It is right now at the county assemblies. But I just want to encourage us that when it comes here, we should just be able to follow the procedure and debate very soberly, because Constitution is made by us for us. And if for any reason we need that, we want to change it. I think the Constitution of America, from what I've heard, it has been, I think, amended like about 26 times, if I'm not wrong, or 27. So nothing stops us from adjusting our Constitution, because it is for the people, by the people. And we have been mandated as leaders to do that. So as we wait for this bill to debate on it, I want to urge our members that we should we should really restrain and give a very good example to Kenya as a whole, because Kenya has a lot of hope in the Senate. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Finally, Senator Zani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand also to support the approval of senators to serve in the Senate Business Committee in this session. And let me start by first thanking all of us that we've been able to come back safely, and also to pray for the soul of our senator, dearly departed Senator Kabaka, who passed away when we were on recess. And, you know, just to thank God that we have the presence to be here, to keep in mind the responsibilities that we have as a nation in the work that we have to do, which is really ahead of us. I've looked through the names of the members in this committee. These are senators who have served in different capacities, and we're sure they're going to be able to do their work very, very well. And I think now more than ever before, when we are finally actualizing the meaningful application of Article 110(3) in the Senate, which is allowing us to do something that we've tried to do for such a long time, really just getting in place a mechanism so that there's a way to jointly resolve any question as to whether a bill concerning counties is concerning counties, or whether it is a special or ordinary bill, and whether this has to be tackled by the National Assembly or the Senate. So we have been able to resolve that now through the landmark ruling. Mr. Speaker, what it implies is that we're going to be, as Senate, in a very unprecedented position, where we're looking at so many of the bills that had already been introduced in this House. They had gone through first reading, second reading, third reading, and now they are being republished. Mr. Speaker, this is really a challenge for many senators, because they really have to go through these bills all over again and contextualize them with this new light. I just wish to request that even as the Business Committee puts its work into place,
that they're able to really prioritize this so that we can actually have the assistance that is required to quickly bring these bills into place. And I know that, for example, the staff of the Senate have been working very, very hard, already republishing many of these bills, and I think they will do very, very well. But I think when it comes to the Senate Business Committee, I think prioritizing this will help senators who had already brought these bills, who had gone through all these stages. I think also one of the things that will happen is that many of the bills are already well known by most of the members, and I hope that we'll be able to quickly go through it. Mr. Speaker, I know over time we always have the issue of time and allocation of time for the various statements, which is okay because these are also important. But I think given the challenge that this ruling has come when we are left with about 1.5 years to the end of this Senate, it will be very, very good and very, very helpful if we're able to strategize and organize ourselves in such a way that we'll be able to quickly bring these bills onto the floor of the House at the time when they're required to come on the floor of the House, and that we are able to quickly expedite them and be able to push them to the next level. Because, Mr. Speaker, these bills are about various interests of the counties. I've had Senator Nyamunga speak about her bill, which is also on the line, and many other senators would also talk about also the same thing. Mr. Speaker, the other issue I think which is very prominent, which we might want to look through at this session or during this session, and maybe the Senate Business Committee can also help us to prioritize this, because it is the Senate Business Committee that actually prioritizes the business of the House and brings this business onto the floor of the House at the times it is required, is to do with the mediation committees. Mr. Speaker, especially when there is an engagement that involves both the National Assembly and the Senate, I feel that the coordination that needs to be put in place to ensure that quickly mediation committees can be put into place can actually happen faster. Because I know from the Senate, we usually give the names of the people who are in a particular committee, who are going to be members in the mediation committee, and from the National Assembly, members will be in the committee. But sometimes it takes some time for all these members to actually get a chance for them to start even the first meeting. Yes, they are informed. Yes, they are meant to propel, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. And I know the chairmen of the committees have been working very hard to push this agenda. So I'm hoping that the coordination will be better, that the mediation committees can quickly coordinate and fast track so that both the National and Assembly and the Senate can quickly be able to push the agenda that is required. I think this is going to be an exciting session for this Senate, even as we move towards the end period of this Senate. And Mr. Speaker, I am sure that with this business committee in place, we'll be able to move this agenda of the Senate as we expect to always. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
May I now call upon the mover to reply?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to reply, and let me join you and my colleagues in welcoming members back to this session. Mr. Speaker, a lot of issues were raised by members that is really going to strengthen the work of the committee, and I hope the Secretariat will be able to tease out all the issues raised by members so that we can look at them and prioritize them, which is also very, very important, because having been in this House last session, this is normally a very a challenging stretch, because most of the members will be now preparing for campaign. And I hope the committee will seriously take their responsibilities in ensuring that the work given to them is being delivered in time and not disappoint members. Again, Mr. Speaker, maybe I will request members, especially those who have motions and bills before this House. Sometimes it has been challenging for us as leaders to look around for you to come and move your motion, or actually reply to your motion, or move your bill, and all that. So it requires both-way commitment, where members are really present when your motion is ready for moving, and when your motion is ready also for replying. So I think with that, I take this opportunity to move, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Orders 184 and 189.3, the Senate approves the following senators nominated to serve in the Senate Business Committee, in addition to the Speaker of the Senate, who pursuant to Standing Order 184.1 shall be the chairperson of the committee, the Senate Majority Leader, the Senate Minority Leader, the Senate Majority Whip, and the Senate Minority Whip. 1, Senator Fatuma Dulo, CBS MP. 2, Senator Sakaja Johnson, CBS MP. 3, Senator Gideon Moi, CBS MP. 4, Senator Charles Kibiru, MP. 5, Senator Cleophas Malala, MP. 6, Senator Beatrice Kwamboka, MP. And 7, Senator Ledama Olekina, MP. As many are of that opinion, say aye. As many are of a counter of you, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, order, Senators. The motion having passed, just like I did say in my communication, the SBC will meet here in the next, after 5 minutes. So, Honorable Senators, there being no other business, it is now time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until Wednesday, 10th February, 2021 at 2:30 p.m.